Do you find yourself feeling weaker these days than you used to feel? Maybe a cheer, or just not quite as spry? Does getting up in the morning feel like a bigger effort than it did even just a few years ago? Perhaps simple tasks that you used to do without a second thought now leave you feeling tired or even a bit fragile. It's a painful reality many of us face as we get a little older. That feeling that your body isn't quite keeping up with your spirit. That nagging stiffness. The joints that creak. The energy that just seems to have packed its bags and left. You start thinking, is this just how it is now? But what if I told you there might be a surprisingly simple secret to helping your body rediscover some of that lost vitality? To go from feeling weak and weary to feeling more like, well, like a warrior. Not in the sense of lifting weights or running marathons, but a warrior in the battle against feeling old and worn out. In this video, I want to share my own personal journey, a simple 2-week experiment that changed the way I feel in my body, all thanks to something natural and incredibly soothing. We're going to talk about my experience, the surprising effects I felt, and how just a short period of focused, natural care made a world of difference. Stay with me to the very end, because there's something I discovered that truly surprised me, and I think it might surprise you too. So, picking up from that feeling of just not being myself, a little stiff, a little slow, a friend suggested something I hadn't seriously considered before: professional massage. Now, I'd always thought of massage as a bit of a luxury, something you do on holiday or when you're really treating yourself. I certainly didn't think of it as something that could genuinely help with that deep-seated feeling of weakness or constant low-level aches. But my friend was quite insistent, sharing her own positive experiences, and I was feeling desperate enough to try almost anything that didn't involve complicated exercises or scary medications. I was still skeptical. Though, could someone rubbing my muscles really make a difference? I pictured fluffy towels and soothing music, which sounded nice. But I needed something more substantial. I needed to feel stronger, more capable. I decided to commit to 2 weeks. I found a local therapist who specialized in gentle, therapeutic massage. Explaining my goals, I wasn't looking for deep tissue work or fixing a specific injury. Just addressing this overall feeling of weakness and stiffness that seemed to settle into my bones. She understood completely and suggested a series of shorter, more frequent sessions initially, focusing on gentle manipulation and improving circulation. My first session was interesting. Lying there, I felt quite exposed, a bit vulnerable. The therapist was very professional and made me feel comfortable. Explaining what she was doing, she started with my back and shoulders, areas where I carried a lot of tension I hadn't even fully realized was there. Her hands were warm and firm, but not painful. It wasn't just rubbing. It felt like she was coaxing the stiffness out of my muscles, gently encouraging them to relax. After that first hour, I felt different. Not suddenly a warrior. Mind you, I actually felt a bit sleepy and maybe even a little tender in a few spots. The kind of tenderness you feel after using muscles you haven't used in a while. I went home and took a long, warm bath, as she suggested. And honestly, I slept better that night than I had in weeks. It wasn't a magic fix, but that deep sleep was a noticeable change. The next day, I still had some stiffness, but that post-massage sleep seemed to have helped. I had my second session a couple of days later. This time, the therapist spent more time on my legs and feet, areas I often felt were heavy and tired. It's surprising how much tension we hold in our legs without realizing it. She explained how improving circulation in the lower body could help with overall energy levels. As she worked on my calves and the soles of my feet, I could feel a tingly sensation, like blood flowing more freely. Again, after the session, I felt that pleasant fatigue, followed by another night of excellent sleep. This was becoming a pattern. Sleep had been an issue for me for ages, tossing and turning, waking up multiple times. Now, I was sleeping through the night, waking up feeling slightly more refreshed. This was the first tangible sign that something positive was happening. It wasn't just the sleep. Though, as the first week progressed, with sessions every other day, I started noticing subtle changes during the day too. Getting out of a chair felt a tiny bit easier. Reaching for something on a high shelf didn't feel quite so much like an effort. My shoulders seemed less hunched. It was like the constant low-grade ache that had become my normal was starting to recede. Just a little. I wasn't suddenly running marathons. Of course. But the simple movements of daily life felt less like a struggle. It's easy to underestimate the cumulative effect of constant stiffness and discomfort on your energy and motivation. When your body feels heavy and resistant, your mind often follows suit. But as the physical tension began to ease, I felt a little lighter mentally too. I found myself more willing to go for a short walk, to do some light gardening, activities that had started to feel too daunting. During one of the sessions, the therapist talked about how stress and emotional tension get stored in our muscles. She explained that even if we don't feel consciously stressed, our bodies can hold on to it, leading to physical stiffness and fatigue. She suggested some simple breathing exercises I could do at home to complement the massage, helping to release tension more effectively. I started incorporating these into my morning routine. Just 5 minutes of deep, slow breathing, and I found it made a surprising difference to how relaxed I felt starting the day. It wasn't just about someone else working on my muscles. It was about incorporating simple practices into my own life. Another thing that became clear during that first week was the importance of consistency. One massage session felt nice, like a treat, but having them regularly, even short ones, meant that the effects weren't just temporary. Each session seemed to build on the last. The muscles that felt tight in the first session were a little looser in the second, and even more so in the third. The therapist could work a little deeper in some areas because the initial resistance was gone. This wasn't about pushing through pain, it was about gentle, consistent encouragement for my body to let go of tension it was holding on to. I was starting to see that this wasn't just about feeling good for an hour. It was about retraining my body to be less stiff, less guarded. By the end of the first week, I was genuinely looking forward to my massage sessions. They had become a calm, peaceful part of my routine. The sleep continued to be deep and refreshing, which in itself was a massive boost to my energy levels during the day. I was moving a little more freely, feeling a bit less like the Tin Man needing oil. It was a gradual change, not dramatic overnight, but certainly noticeable. I felt a sense of quiet optimism starting to build. Maybe, just maybe, this simple, natural approach was actually working. It wasn't about suddenly becoming a super athlete, but about reclaiming some of the ease and comfort in my own body that I thought I had lost for good. This journey through the first week was laying the groundwork, showing me that even long-held stiffness wasn't necessarily permanent. It was an encouraging start, setting the stage for the second week and what turned out to be some even more significant shifts in how I felt as I entered the second week of my 2-week massage journey. I wasn't just hoping for change anymore. I was starting to expect it. The progress from the first week, though subtle at times, had built a quiet confidence. My sleep was consistently better. And those small moments of ease, getting up from a chair, reaching for something, were becoming more frequent. The therapist noticed the change too. She commented that my muscles felt less guarded and she could work more effectively. We continued with the regular sessions, but she started introducing a few simple techniques I could use on myself at home. Nothing complicated. Things like using a small ball to gently roll out the tension in my feet while watching television, or simple stretches I could do in bed before getting up. These weren't strenuous exercises. They were about mindful movement and gentle release. She emphasized that it wasn't about forcing anything, but about listening to my body and encouraging it to relax. One particular session in the second week stood out. She focused more on my hips and lower back, areas that had felt persistently tight. As she worked, I felt a release, almost like a knot untying itself. It wasn't painful, but a strange sensation of something letting go. That evening, I noticed that walking felt different. My stride felt longer, more natural. It was like my hips weren't resisting every step anymore. This was a significant moment. It wasn't just a general feeling of less stiffness. It was a specific area of my body showing marked improvement. The cumulative effect of the daily improvements was starting to become truly noticeable. That feeling of overall weakness that had prompted this experiment, it was definitely diminishing. I wasn't feeling heavy and leaden anymore. There was a lightness in my step, a greater ease in my movements. I started doing small things that had felt too difficult before, like bending down to tie my shoelaces without feeling like I might get stuck, or carrying a bag of groceries from the car without feeling completely worn out afterwards. Mentally, the shift was even more profound, with less physical discomfort. I felt more optimistic and energetic. The cloud of fatigue that seemed to follow me everywhere was lifting. I had more patience, more motivation to engage with others and with activities I enjoyed. It's incredible how much our physical state impacts our mental and emotional well-being. Isn't it? When your body feels capable, your mind feels capable too. The therapist also talked about the importance of hydration and how it affects muscle health and flexibility. She wasn't pushing any specific diet or supplement, just simple, common sense advice. She reminded me to drink plenty of water throughout the day, especially on the days I had a massage. It was a small piece of advice, but combined with everything else, it felt like part of a holistic approach to helping my body heal and strengthen itself naturally. I wasn't thinking about complex exercises or grueling workouts. This transformation was happening through gentle touch, improved circulation, deep relaxation, and a few simple, mindful practices incorporated into my day. It felt sustainable, something I could continue without feeling overwhelmed. The idea wasn't to become an athlete overnight, but to reclaim comfort and functionality in my everyday life. By the middle of the second week, I found myself actually looking forward to morning. Getting out of bed felt easier, less like a chore. The stiffness that used to make those first few steps agony had significantly reduced. I could stand taller, sit more comfortably, and move through my home with a newfound fluidity. It was like my body was remembering how it used to feel before age and tension started to take their toll. This 2-week journey was proving to be far more impactful than I ever could have imagined. It wasn't just about the hour on the massage table. It was about the ripple effect it had on my sleep, my energy levels, my mood, and my overall physical capability. It felt like I was finally addressing the root cause of some of my discomfort, rather than just trying to push through the symptoms. This experience was teaching me that sometimes the most powerful tools for healing and strengthening our bodies are gentle, natural ones, and that consistency, even with something as simple as regular massage, can yield truly remarkable results. It was setting me up for the final few days of the experiment and the full realization of how much had changed in such a short time. As the final days of my 2-week journey with natural massage approached, the transformation I felt was undeniable. That initial feeling of being weak and easily tired had been replaced by a sense of renewed energy and capability. It wasn't a sudden burst of youthful vigor, but a steady, comfortable return to feeling more like myself, or perhaps even a better version of myself. The daily aches and stiffness that had been my constant companions for years were now intermittent whispers, easily managed with the simple self-massage and stretches I'd learned. My sleep remained consistently deep and restful, which continued to be one of the most significant benefits. Waking up feeling truly refreshed made a world of difference to my days. I had more stamina, more focus, and a genuinely brighter outlook. The physical changes had profoundly impacted my mental and emotional state. I felt more confident, more willing to engage with the world around me. Things like planning outings with friends or tackling a long-delayed home project no longer felt overwhelming. They felt possible. Thinking back to that first session, lying on the table, skeptical and unsure. It's hard to believe how far I'd come in just 14 days. It wasn't about strenuous exercise or complicated diets. It was about the power of therapeutic touch, improved circulation, and the simple act of allowing my body to relax and release built-up tension. The therapist had been a guide, showing me the path to a more comfortable, more functional body. One of the biggest surprises for me was realizing how much tension I had been carrying around without even being fully aware of it. It was like wearing a tight, uncomfortable suit all the time. The massage helped me shed that suit, revealing a body that was capable of much more ease and freedom of movement than I had thought possible. And the beautiful thing was, it felt entirely natural. There were no side effects, no difficult routines to follow. Just the simple, soothing process of massage and the gentle home care practices. This journey taught me that aging doesn't have to mean a steady decline into discomfort and weakness. It reminded me that our bodies are incredibly resilient and responsive, given the right kind of care. Sometimes, that care is about pushing ourselves. Yes, but sometimes, and perhaps especially as we get older, it's about gentle support, release, and nourishment, allowing the body to find its natural state of balance. If you've been feeling that familiar stiffness, the lack of energy, that sense that your body is holding you back, I truly encourage you to consider something like therapeutic massage. It might seem simple, maybe even too simple, but my experience showed me just how powerful it can be. Even a short commitment, like the 2 weeks I dedicated, can initiate remarkable changes. Remember, small, consistent steps can lead to significant transformations. You don't have to accept feeling weak or uncomfortable as just a part of getting older. There are natural ways to support your body and help it regain strength, flexibility, and vitality. My journey from feeling weak to feeling more like a warrior in my own body was a testament to that. I'd love to hear about your own experiences. Have you tried massage or other natural therapies to help with age-related stiffness or weakness? What has worked for you? Share your thoughts in the comments below. Your story might inspire someone else. If this video resonated with you, please give it a like. It really helps spread the word and reach others who might benefit from this information. And don't forget to subscribe to my channel for more insights and tips on living your best life at every age. We're in this together, discovering ways to feel strong, vibrant, and happy. No matter the number of candles on our birthday cake, live your best life. Embrace the natural ways to support your body. And remember, you are stronger and more capable than you might think.